We will call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Sue if she'll do roll call, please.
Kim Winter.
Here.
Andrea Fick.
Here.
Holly Jarvis.
Here.
Carrie Germain.
Here.
Chuck Melkey.
Here.
Jessica LaNave.
Here.
Jack Sayer.
Mr. Sayer will be about 30 minutes late. So other than that, we have everyone else. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I would ask you to join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. For our folks in the audience, this is your opportunity for public comment related to items that are on our agenda this evening. There will also be a more general opportunity towards the end of the meeting. If you want to address the board, please come up to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Don't everybody run at once. All right. I don't see anyone. So we will move on. We have a consent agenda before us. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jessica?
Support.
Is that Holly?
Yes.
Comments or questions? Hearing none. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jessica LaNave.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. All right, next, we have our superintendent report, and I know this is a busy time of year, Mr. Heatherton, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. It is a busy time of the year, and we have lots of reminder dates. But first, I would just like to publicly share condolences to Andrea and the Fick family for the loss of their father. It was, I don't know if I've laughed so much when people were crying, but it was a wonderful service and a tribute to your dad, and so our condolences go to you. The FEOC graduation is this Thursday, May 16th at 6 o'clock. For those of you that are attending and going to be on stage, it is a wear your gowns activity, and you should be there by 5:30 in the back hallway of the PAC. High school graduation is next Wednesday, May 22nd. Obviously, another wear your gowns activity. Be there around 5:45. It starts at 7, and we will have some of the parking marked off like we did last year on the back side of the building. Not to say that people won't park there anyway, but we will attempt to block off some parking for you. Speaking of graduation, former board student rep and Kim Winter's son graduates from Harvard. Congratulations to Kim and Jacob for that. Oh, with high honors. Quite an accomplishment. I think Jacob was our first ever student rep, so very proud of him. Senior Honors Night is Monday, May 20th. It's a gown activity. If you're going to show up to be on stage, be there at 5:30. Starts at 6 o'clock. Very, very excited tonight after lots of ups and downs and discussions, conversations, and a lot of work. We do have some voting on Mary Crapel Park Phase 1. It's a long time coming. We've had so much momentum going with this, so I'm excited to be able to move that forward later on tonight in board action items. Genesee County Association of School Board Members is holding a Genesee Health Systems presentation. It is also on May 16th, so May 16th is a pretty busy night for us. And I'll pass that flyer down. Tonight is senior night. If you see all the cars out there, that is the girls' soccer team They have had an outstanding season at 8-4-4. Great group of senior girls. I told them I really wish I could be there, but we're here instead. Hopefully they go out there and get a victory tonight. And just an update for all of those that have continued to ask how to support and concern for our 5 high school students who were in the car accident. I am happy to report that all 5 students are home from the hospital, and very glad that has happened, because I truly believe that's a miracle. And so a few still have a long road to go with healing, but all 5 are home. So that is fantastic news. That is all I have.
Thanks, Rod. Any questions for Rod? Rod, I want to publicly thank you and your team for being on the spot after the unfortunate accident with those students, and for gathering the crisis team. I know that was incredibly important. So thank you. It means a lot to everybody. All right. With that, I will draw your attention to employment of non-certified staff in your packet, and then we can move on to, we do not have Reese with us this evening, correct? So we are going to move on to board subcommittee reports. I can start with academic achievement. We met yesterday. We had a pretty full day of meetings yesterday afternoon. All 4 of our subcommittees met. With academic achievement, we had a great presentation from Nathan Elder, the science STEM teacher at the high school. He shared an overview of the high school engineering's class project. It was a pie-top design project. And he talked about how the students collaborated in small groups. They actually designed and built a working laptop, and it was using a Raspberry Pi, which I knew nothing about, so I looked it up. It's an operating system. But they had to go through a similar process as if though they were in the real world. So they identified a project manager, they used various methods to design it, and then computers, obviously, and 3D printers. And so they had some trial and error and had to do some testing, but they built their laptops, came up with 6 different laptops. And they had, to design the lids and everything. It was really cool. And Mr. Elder brought an example to show us. They even named the laptop. And we were very impressed by what the students were able to do. And we did ask if maybe in the future he could come and talk to us as a board, if not between now and the end of the year, which is probably not likely, maybe more in the fall, so that we could get an update on what they're doing. But it was a great presentation. Additionally, Kevin Claren talked about a proposed high school course that is called Data Science. And this course is being developed and will be funded by a 24H grant, and it would target students or look at students that have challenges with Algebra 2 or would have challenges with Algebra 2, and gives them another alternative so that they can complete all 4 years of math. But it's in conjunction with Stanford University, and so as being part of this group, there's 5 districts in the county that are also going to be doing this, but they would be giving feedback and data to Stanford University. It would also be in conjunction with Mott and Kettering, I believe. So that was a really interesting presentation, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that. As a result of the Stanford relationship, they will have access to a series of units that create the curriculum. And so I'm really excited to see, and there's some opportunities to work with business towards the end, or maybe even during, so that the students get some real-life exposure to what that looks like. And I think that was it for academic achievement. Does anybody have any questions? You're welcome. Pretty cool laptops. And let's see, going on, I can do policy in Jack's stead. That we met again yesterday. Let's see, Rod gave us an update on the Title IX final regulations that are effective August 1st of this year. And Rod gave us a high-level overview of that information. It will be incorporated into the required learnings for the staff, like the blood-borne pathogens requirements each year, that they'll actually have to attest that they've reviewed this, and so we have that documentation. Rod also gave us an update on our legal updates as a follow-up to last month, and that's when Jack was able to arrive to the meeting, but I will continue. We had a pre-handbook conversation. Kevin Claren updated the committee on the upcoming parent-student handbook revisions and a timeline when we may be seeing those. And if you recall, there have been a lot of updates and refinement to the particular handbooks for each school, and compliance with ADA requirements continues to be something that we have to be mindful of. So there'll be some reviews related to ADA requirements. I think that was it. Did I miss anything, Jim, or no? Yes, and so our next meeting, which is scheduled for June 18th, it's a Tuesday, will be combined. We'll have academic achievement and policy together. All right. So with that, if there are no questions, I will turn it over to Miss Jessica for finance, and I know that will be limited, so I'm going to then ask Chuck if he will jump in to fill us in on yesterday's operations meeting.
Okay, that's fine, Carrie. I'll let Jessica, she's pulled off some information off the internet. Nothing was provided to me at finance except for a check register, and we kind of just went to operations with Hawk and French, their presentation. So I know you pulled some stuff off of that data there.
We actually did have it in the packet. It was a little farther back, and I know it's on our website. I just think it's important for us to share where we are. Our cash and investment summary is as of April 30th, 2024, in our general fund, our account balance is $7,220,559.14. Our food service fund is $793,800.26. The student activity fund is $351,946.12. Our debt service fund is $1,250,117.08. And our capital project funds total $4,326,392.46, leaving our overall cash and investments at $13,942,815.06. And I will say at our next finance committee meeting, we will talk about anything that, if there were any big fluctuations that were not discussed in this month and next.
Okay, we started our meeting at 2:09 PM, operations, and as I said, the finance was an abbreviated meeting, just, which led into French and Hawk's presentation. It was a lengthy presentation of approximately 2 hours, and they talked about the services that they're going to provide, the bond language, and the potential of renewing the millage, the original millage from 2018 for an additional 10 years, and they're going to provide language for the board to look at and approve and potentially move forward. I have C included packages because they gave me a thick booklet. I don't know if the other members have it, but I was provided with a booklet with it yesterday, but only one booklet. After that, we talked briefly about Mary Crapel bids and contracts. As Rod has said, RC showed a list of bids approved through Lurie Construction to be reviewed and approved at later in the meeting today. And then the food service budget and contracts, Chartwell contract, was verbally given to us by Jamie for renewal to be approved at this board meeting, and the package, I believe, is in there, and it's approximately a 3% increase overall. There was no public or committee comment, and we adjourned at 4:20 PM, and our next meeting will be June 17th at 2 PM. Thank you.
Just want to add that the link went out in the Monday memo, but we do have, I think, 2 hard copies left of the actual facility study. So if you didn't get a hard copy, the link is available, and if you didn't get one that's left, we can print off those as well. So.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Chuck. Any questions for Jessica or Chuck? Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for taking notes for that. It was a very informative meeting yesterday. All right, if there are no more questions, then we will move on to board discussion items, including 2 presentations, one on trauma-informed care and the other one district operations.
So I'm very excited to welcome and bring up Ashley Heatherton and Michelle Culver. The board a couple of meetings ago talked about getting a trauma-informed care presentation together. Michelle and Ashley have been doing trauma-informed care presentations together for about 6-7 years. Before we went from 2 instructional coaches to 6 instructional coaches last year, Michelle and Ashley were responsible for all the MTSS in their respective buildings, the middle school and the high school, on top of their day job. So they were very busy as special ed TCs, working with the kids in their building that have specific interventions, as well as working with the entire building on the interventions that we provide through our MTSS services. They both attended about 5 years ago or 6 years ago a trauma-informed training. It was a 4-day, full-day training to be certified in trauma-informed care. And then it was a couple years later that we did a 1-day renewal, and we were able to add some people to that. So they've had a lot of experience. They've done multiple presentations with SSPs. They've done building level presentations. They've done a lot on overall topic, but they especially have dealt with regulation and how trauma affects the brain. So I'm excited to have Michelle and Ashley.
Well, thank you so much for having us tonight. If there's a topic that I think Michelle and I are very passionate about, besides special ed, it is definitely trauma. And we had a whole slew of things to tell you, but Mr. Heatherton just told you for us. So, so we'll skip ahead here. Okay, so just an overview, what is trauma-informed care? Obviously, it's an approach in human service. It just assumes that all individuals we come encounter with have had some sort of trauma. Trauma-informed care recognizes that presence of trauma in our lives, and then it helps us to understand the individuals that we're supporting. There are 3 components, and creating a safe environment is definitely the #1 goal of our school, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit, and the direction that our district is taking and how we're getting there. And then building relationships and connectedness, I think that's one of the #1 topics that we talk about in our buildings every single day. If there's a new student, if there's a student who's been here for years, who has a relationship with that student? And then also supporting and teaching the emotional regulation, and we'll dive into that a little bit as well. Okay, the biggest thing about trauma-informed care is we all need to flip our thinking. It's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. So there's always a why, there's always a reason for a behavior. What was that reason? So if we can look at students and we can see the behavior is not who they are, there's a why behind all of this, and that's what we have to dig into. So something that we walk every single day in every single building, we know our kids come with backpacks of heaviness. And that heaviness is an emotional, it's stress, it's worry, it's fear. And the thing about trauma is it does not discriminate. There's no student who is just, you're selected, you will never feel trauma. That's not life. And we don't have students in this district who are separated from any opportunity to have trauma. So when we see a student walk through our halls, we recognize they're probably carrying something, right? Even if it's a short-term sadness, if it's something that is just heavy at the moment, or it's something that's been building and building. That's how we have to see our students. So instead of just seeing that heaviness in that backpack, we notice them and we love them. And that's how we live every day. So how are we doing this through the district? We have been working through this continuum. As Mr. Heatherton said, we started this before COVID. And since then, obviously we had to rebound a little bit because we weren't in person. We couldn't see our kids. We did the best we could through Zoom, but we've rebounded since then, and we came back knowing that our students had now faced a new level of trauma. So the trauma they had before was just intensified by COVID. The most important part that we are working toward is the care. Obviously, that's just getting to that place in the continuum where all students can feel just that safety when they come into our schools and into our classrooms. With that safety, that comes the recovery. So they've had trauma in the past. but the care that we are providing can lead them to that next step. On top of that, we've added restorative practices. So all of our staff, 2 years ago, we all did restorative circles, and it was just this amazing PD that we did in the PAC where we all sat down and we had an experience with working through circles. And through that, that's where the collaboration piece really comes in. So if students are having issues, if a student is having an issue with a teacher, we sit down with them and we do circles. That's probably a big part of my day every day, is working through these pieces with these students. But that just builds that collaboration, it builds that trust, and through that, that's then where we get to the empowerment and the resilience. So when people feel safe, when students feel safe, they open up, and that's where we come back to the relationships. So that's where we're working through on our page there. Okay. All of our work that we do, all of the trauma, everything, it all comes back to ACEs. It's based on a study that took place in California, and there were about 30,000 people who were surveyed. There were a group of doctors, and they were just noticing these trends. They were noticing that there's a lot more going on with these health issues. So it led to a 10-question survey. And if you see the image up there, there are 10 circles around, and that's what the basis of those questions are about. So before the age of 18, have you experienced any type of abuse, whether it's physical, emotional? Have you been neglected in any way? Is there drug or substance use in your home? So before the age of 18, you give this survey, you ask these questions, and then some of the results are staggering. So about 64%, when this report was done, of U.S. adults reported at least one ACE. So that's where we can look at our students and see at least 64% of the kids who walk through our doors have experienced something. There's a 5,000% chance of an increase in a suicide attempt if you have an ACE score of 6. If you have 4 or higher, depression is more prevalent in women and men. There's a greater chance if you are above 6 ACEs of, this one's not even up here, of using drugs and alcohol and being addicted. But then it also comes to where the doctors are saying there's higher chances of having cancer and emphysema, heart disease. So all of this stress that our kids carry and adults carry leads to all of these health issues. So that's why our district has taken upon ourselves to do something to support our kids.
So our teachers are working very, very hard to build those connections with our students. Our district is working very, very hard to create a lot of opportunities like our connections to Wellness Night, iWellness, other things too. And building-wise, we're also doing some things in each of our buildings. And this year, our assistant principal, Teresa Anderson, worked really hard to put together a wellness room, kind of has a little bit of a nature theme in it. We have a dual purpose in our room. I'll kind of switch to that. There are some of our students that like to have a quiet place to work, an alternate place to work. So there is a tucked-in work area that's separate from some of these other things that we have in the room. And we use passes so that we don't have students just wandering in the hallways and not knowing where they are. The students do need a pass from their teacher, and then the teacher just selects the reason why they're there. If they're not there for a short brain break, then the teacher would send classwork. And they call first before sending students for any testing. And they communicate with Laura, who's running our room right now, if there are specific expectations. So this room really has a lot of different uses for us. We don't have the hub that we do at the high school, but we're trying very hard to have a safe place for our kids to go when they need it. Also during lunchtime, students can get a pass from an adult in the cafeteria after they've gotten their lunch. So there's a you can see there's a reading nook there, there are posters, there are quiet spaces to work, there are Legos and things for kids to use. One of the things, the tools that we have used a lot in the middle school, especially in the past few years, is what's called the 5-point scale, and you can see a couple examples in the middle and on the right. The one on the right is actually a poster that is up in our wellness room. So we have taught students very specifically to identify where they are in this 5-point scale for their emotions. Like 1 being I'm calm, I'm okay, all the way up to 5 being I feel like I'm going to explode. Okay, so this has been a fabulous tool, and in years past we've actually had students create their own 5-point scales. But this is available in our wellness room too, so that our students can say, hey, I'm at a 3 or I'm at a 4. I need something to do so that I can calm, have a time of calm.
So just one thing to keep in mind, obviously we're presenting about the middle school and the high school rooms, but every one of our buildings has a calm area or a calm room. So this is something that's spread across the entire district. In high school, we call it the Empowerment Hub. We had to make it something that teenagers would kind of resort to, and it's just affectionately now called the Hub for the most part. So that's just our pass. Like Michelle said, it's very structured. It's not a free-for-all, so you have to have your pass if you're coming in, because we want to know if kids are in crisis, we don't just let them go. We have supports in place for that. We have our social workers, two amazing social workers that are located in the Hub in the high school. Student leadership, they come in and they do tutoring. We do have other intervention services. iWellness Wednesdays, after the survey is taken, that's where we group together and we look through the results and figure out who needs us today and how can we support them. Crisis response, safe place, and even alternative testing areas. So it's just an amazing space for kids to come if they need just a different location and they need somebody to talk to. Here's just a couple pictures. It's always a work in progress, absolutely. It's we've got one of my favorite cuties jumping on the trampoline there. So the outside area with the trampoline and the elliptical is when they are just too much energy. I don't know what to do with it. I need to move. And then the separate room with the quiet lighting, the comfortable seating. So students come in and they have to check in on the computer. They check in with an adult who, Mr. Dantzler is our person who's at the computer. He kind of feels them out. Who would they most likely need to talk to? A social worker, myself for extra support for academics, or did they just need a space to chill for a minute? So we have quite the process when it comes to that. And then the benefits, I could have filled much more than this, so I won't read them all to you. But it's just several things that we have going on in there, and the list continues to grow. As more and more students become comfortable with using a space and it becomes normalized in our school, the list keeps growing. The important thing to know, though, is when the kids come down, how do we respond to them? So these kids with trauma, they come down, and it used to just be fight or flight. It was cut and dry. And it's not. It's freeze. They might shut down. So a student might have their head down, their hood up, flop, even just fainting. That's one of the responses that we've seen. Fawn, we just kind of stop and we don't talk, we don't interact. Flight, obviously we know that from the past. We're running or fight. We do have a punching bag in the Hub, and that has helped a lot of the fight responses. So when the students come down, and Mr. Dantzler, like I said, he will feel them out and see where are they on this response. And all of us with our doors open and ears open, we can also respond to these appropriately as the time comes. This is obviously through a lot of training too that the district has provided.
So this is just some basic brain neuroscience. So if you think about the brain, this also actually relates to the 5-point scale. So the thinking, or the neocortex, the green brain we call it, that's where you're able to process language, use language. You're more rational about your thinking. Then there's that yellow brain's kind of in the middle there, that emotional brain, and then the survival brain, or that red brain we call it, where the kids are maybe at a 5 on the 5-point scale. So there's a lot of science behind this, and it's fascinating if you dive in deeper, but this is just a quick look at it. Going from dysregulation to regulation, there are really stages to this. Students need to regulate first. We have to build that connection. We have to allow them that time to regulate before we can move on to any other stage. Relating to the students, helping them to know that they're cared for and that they're loved. And then reason is when you can finally begin to process through what happened with a student or their emotions and things. And that might not even happen for days afterwards sometimes. So we have to be very in tune to where our students are.
I think it's the students who have the deeper trauma, they don't get back to green brain as quickly. So that's why Michelle said you might not have that conversation that day. That repair, that restorative circle might not happen for a week, but that's because they're not there yet.
And it's okay to give them, they need that time. We have to give them that time. This is just a really quick slide to show that the emotion of anger, there's really a lot of other things that could be going on. So there's a lot that lies beneath the surface of our students' feelings sometimes, and our own too. Crisis Prevention Institute, CPI, has come up with some fabulous de-escalation tips. Being empathetic and non-judgmental, respecting their personal space, that's huge when our kids are in red brain, just honoring that. Non-threatening nonverbals. Avoid overreacting, which is hard to do, but we need to do that. Focus on feelings, ignore their challenging questions, set limits, be very precise, choose wisely what you insist upon, pick your battles, allow silence sometimes, and that's okay, and time for decisions. There are a couple different calming strategies that we've taught a lot of our students. One of them is a breathing exercises. There are all kinds of breathing exercises. Believe it or not, we narrowed this down to one slide. But we actually have on the wall of one of our self-contained classrooms, we have some shapes, and it's like shape breathing, and they have to breathe in and then count and then breathe out and around. And so it's a good tool for them, and other tools too. You see on the right there. Take 5 breathing with your fingers drawing around your hand. Mindfulness is a fabulous strategy that we've used all throughout. I know our building and the district, really. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, coping technique. I use this myself. I need my brain to kind of calm a bit. So just things you can see, you can touch. Getting your senses involved so that it actually helps to regulate your emotions.
Yeah, and I think those are important. Those are things we do use every day. I don't know how many dysregulated students have come in and I'll say, tell me 3 things that are pink. And at first they'll say, I don't like pink. Tell me 3 things that are orange. So somehow we can get through those, but just having that distracting moment can help to start regulate them. And this is just another thing that we live by in this circle, so in this district, in our buildings, in our hub, in our wellness rooms, wherever we are. We believe that we can connect with all kids. We believe that we can communicate with them. We have to get on their level, and we have to see them for who they are, for what has happened, not for a behavior at the moment.
So thank you very much for this.
Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Anybody have questions?
I would just like to say I had some training in mindfulness and the DBT program. That mindfulness really works. I mean, if you can, learn it.
Right.
So I think that's a really good thing to teach the kids.
Definitely skills they can keep forever.
Thank you.
so much.
And as always, Swartz Creek is way out ahead.
We try.
We've known that for a long time, but thank you for all you do. I know it keeps you
for your
busy
support.
every day, and I love all the things that you've done, and I know that our students are benefiting from it, so thank you.
Thank you.
May I just say, I just want to say thank you as well, and as Kim said, of using it. When we did the tour in the high school, we got to see the hub in use, right? And the care and the concern and the students, like just all of it. No matter how old we are, we talk about it all the time. Like there's a point in time where my husband and I weren't getting along, and we will actually say to each other, "You are safe with me," because it doesn't matter how old you are, to know that you are safe, to be able to have a conversation, to communicate, and also to teach people that under anger, what is that? It's usually a fear in some form, and I get excited that our kids are learning this and being exposed and encouraged to practice it and look at it, the mindfulness, and take responsibility for their behavior, their feelings, their emotions, right? And again, understanding where it comes from, because as it's already been said, it's a lifelong skill, and the earlier that they can learn that and you model it for them, it's just fantastic. So thanks a lot, because I know it's not easy.
We enjoy it.
We do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Rod, we have the district operations report from RC.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome RC Hunt up. Every year, RC does a fantastic job going through facilities, and when you work with transportation and facilities and maintenance and everything else, he could probably give a 2-hour report. Each year, we try to kind of take a look at something specific. This year, it was asked of him by the board to take a specific look at roofs, so he's going to do that with you tonight. RC, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Just like Rod said, there's been a lot of changes over the last few years, and the question was asked at an operation meeting, where are we with our roofs? Can you give us a deep dive? And so that's what I'm here tonight, so everybody can walk away with a understanding of where we are with our roofs. It's hard to explain that, so some of these slides will guide you through that. So tonight, for topic of discussion, I will be covering just our schools. I won't be going over the admin building and anything like that, just the schools themselves. So first, I want to start with the high school. I'm going to explain a little bit on what I did here to simplify everything. I made the red roofs are the roofs that are out of warranty, either 25, 20, or 15-year warranties. They've been past their warranty, so you can see in the near future, those are the ones that we want to start looking at and prepping. Those are the ones that we are currently spending the most money on to maintain. And then the green roofs are the ones that are currently under warranty. So that's the red and the green. All of the little star logos are the style of roofs that are currently on there. So we have our PVC thermoplastic membranes, which would be what we like to use now are Duralast. You have our coal tar pitch roofs, which are the stones. If anybody looked at Google Earth or been up on roofs, it's the multiple layers of felts with tar and then stone on top. EPDM rubber is usually a black material. It's a rolled out rubber. Then you have your granulated surface modified. There's only one spot in the district that has that. That's on the high school roof. It's actually a style of asphalt roofing, rolled out product. And then your standing seam metal, which is becoming more popular. It has a longer duration and warranty life. So there is the high school. As you can see here, the middle school is about 50% in the green. With the most recent bond, we did W, the wing, that's our, I believe our 200 wing. And then with sinking funds, we did the 1, 3, and 400 wing, P, R, and Y. As you can see, most of our out of warranty roofs there are the EPDM rubber, so the black roofing. And you'll get into Deke Elementary School. There's a lot of green there. In the 2018 bond, we replaced all of our roof material there with our Duralast product. Or actually, sorry, take that back. That was the Firestone product. The only area that we did not get to was the gym area. That's E over there. We'll see that's the same on the next slide. Or Morris is next. Elms Elementary School, that is all under warranty. We did not touch that in the bond, but that was done 2017. So that's all under warranty still and looking good. We haven't had many issues there. Here's Morris, the gym here was not done. Cyrene, that's all in the green. That's still all under warranty. Not too many issues over there at Cyrene. And then we have Gaines. Gaines is a lot of red, but just because it's out of warranty doesn't mean that we're having issues. The only spot at Gaines that we are having leaks is in the gym, and at this point we have that resolved, so there are 0 unknown leaks at Gaines at this time. So here's a different format to some people that don't understand floor plans. I tried to throw it into a data sheet here. As you can see, prior to 2018 bond, this is the information. I actually came in about 2018 as well. So this is all of the information I compiled. Again, in the red is the out of warranty items. The green are still in warranty. And then when you get to 2018 until current, you will see all of the projects that we have done, either renovations or additions. The reason those are all highlighted blue, I do have a hyperlink into those so you can click on those and see our actual warranty document from the manufacturer. You see a lot of them are 15 or 20 years. Not a lot of manufacturers go out to 25 years anymore. Difficult to get that, and it costs to do that. Okay, now start talking money. You've seen all the red, you've seen all the green. What does that mean money-wise? The high school, the largest building. If you look at the square foot out of warranty, $2,666,000. Middle school next, 1 million. You work your way down, add all those up, total out of warranty. Right now, all of the red that we just looked at, $4.3 million. That's based off of the $18 per square foot, which is about the current rate per square foot. It will go up and down depending what tear off roof you have there, but average is right about $18 a square foot. So right now we do have an asset value of our roofing at $9.5 million if you were to tally all those up. All right, so how do we fund repairing our roofs or replacing our roofs? We have 3 buckets of fundings. We have our general funds, which has the most opportunity to do repairs and maintenance and replacement, but it's the least amount of money to do so. And then with thankfully our sinking fund that we are able to tackle a lot of our repairs and replacements. And then with our 2018 bond and possibly future bonding, you can do roof replacements. Then last slide here, I want to explain a little bit of replacement value cost and how we judge on the amount of money that we want to spend on our roofs per year. Typically in a commercial industry, 2 to 5% your total value worth of the asset. We're talking about roofs. So residentially, 1 to 4%. Prospectively, I like to say if you have a $200,000 house, say 3%, that's $60,000 or $6,000 a year you should be either putting into your house or saving, so when your roof replacement comes or a furnace replacement, it's just a good percentage to go by so you're not stuck with not having a funding to repair or replace. So in our district, with the $9.5 million roofs, if you take 3% of that, we should be expected to either save, replace, or repair about $285,000 per year on our roofs. So it's a pretty quick scenario. I don't know if there's anything else there. I can open this up for questions, but I covered a lot quickly. I tried to simplify it the best that I could by using the red and green to have a better understanding. So, yeah, you're welcome.
Any questions?
You made a comment, if you could go maybe back for a minute, like Gaines is out of warranty, but you said there are no known leaks, right? And
Travis,
we got that list. Are there mysteries on some of these roofs? I know like at the high school, there can be issues, I guess, where I'm going, now will you go forward? One more. Okay, wait, one more. This one. So like Gaines is there and it's square foot out of warranty replacement cost. But if there's no leaks there, right now we're still good. Is that something where you're thinking that we should, not just Gaines, can you kind of like touch this list and talk about kind of, I guess, where we're good or where the priorities?
So definitely, depending how you maintain roofs, where they're at, some buildings have trees, some buildings have more mechanicals, there's more people walking on the school. So you do have a lot of variables. Just because it's reached its end of warranty life, it does not mean that it's time for replacement. It's just more so on our radar. There's the expectation at any minute we should expect leaks. In our district, it does show typically, beside Gaines, I don't know why Gaines is the outcaster, that roof has been maintained really well. Maybe it's because there's no trees around and not a lot of foot traffic, but just because it's out of warranty does not mean that we are replacing it. So it could go several years past that time.
So if you had to pick the next 2 or 3 sections of roofs, what would you say are the next ones to be looked at to have repair replace?
It's a toss-up between the high school and middle school. The 300 wing at the high school is pretty bad. And then it'd be just north of the cafeteria at the middle school, kind of leading down the hallway towards the band room has a lot of leaks over there. So it's a toss-up between those two.
Anyone else? So I just want to mention and thank you publicly because Jerry from AUK yesterday mentioned that he doesn't see this type of inventory and all the work you've done to collect this information and to keep the district on top of what needs to be done. And he called it was gold. So thank you, RC, to you and your team, because, we take it for granted sometimes that you guys do all these things. It's like the bus report and this, but he said they see a lot of districts, and this is gold.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
All right, now moving on to board action items. We have approval of SCEA employment.
This is the exciting piece of the meeting. Don't tell my wife I said that. Let's start with Mrs. Kovach and have her come on up. And she has two candidates tonight to introduce to you. Mrs. Kovach.
Good evening. First, to introduce to you, this is Shannon Robelli. She is going to join Creek with 15 years of experience servicing special education students with a wide variety of needs. For us, she will be servicing our students in a self-contained classroom setting. Through her utilization of differentiated instruction, rigorous planning, and active learning strategies, she is going to not only be an amazing addition to this department, but also to this district. So here is Shannon.
Hi.
Hi,
Sorry.
Shannon. It's okay. We won't bite.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am wrapping up my 15th year of teaching. I've taught in a variety of different positions. I did general education, physical education, and I've spent the last 11 doing special education. Yeah, that's myself. Sorry.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to blow it for everybody else who's behind you as a candidate tonight, but I ask everyone, why did you choose Swartz Creek?
I think that this was the perfect board meeting for me to be at because that trauma-informed care, just listening to that presentation and hearing the amount of support that you have for your children is really what has drawn me here. I do have a very good friend who works here, and she has nudged me whenever there's been postings here, but just kind of listening to her happiness and the level of support that you guys give your kids here is just, it sounds like it's top of the line, and that's something that I'm extremely interested in engaging with and being a part of. So I'm very excited.
Thank you for that. Anything else?
No, I'm just very excited to be here.
We are excited to have you here. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Anyone else?
Is this a replacement or is this one of the additions?
We have multiple special ed that Sean has moved around, so we have 2 or 3 replacements and 2 additions, so I couldn't tell you exactly how this goes. This is going to be Deke, so it'll be a replacement.
My
Anyone
question,
else?
well,
Go
my
ahead.
question is, how many special ed teachers do we need for the ratio to meet the federal guidelines? So that's why I'm just asking more about the additions than replacements.
Yeah, so if you're in a resource room, you're at 18. If you're in CI, you're, I got there, EI is 11. Yeah, how about Sean tells you legal information?
Yeah, tell me what the ratio is, please.
Okay. So if we are talking a self-contained classroom, depending on what we are speaking about, a cognitively impaired classroom can be up to 18. For an emotionally impaired classroom, it would be up to 12, although that is an extreme amount. And for a resource room, we are looking at caseloads depending on whether you're at the secondary level. The secondary is at 22, and the elementary is at I apologize, the elementary is at 22 and the secondary is at 25.
So
So
are
if
the- are
you're,
these federal guidelines, or these are the federal guidelines?
federal guidelines are less, but because of the need that we have in regards to the shortage of teachers, that we have been able to place things in position such as waivers to be able to have more students in our classrooms and on our caseloads. So
Okay.
yes, it is within the guidelines, but it requires a lot of paperwork in order to exceed those expectations.
So we're over.
We are over.
Our student ratio count for our special needs kids are over what we have for teachers.
Over the federal guidelines.
Currently, we've had waivers signed for all that.
Correct.
That is correct.
Thank you.
And special ed is also paid out of IDEA, and we get special ed money that flows to the ISD, both from the state and the federal government.
For the wages and retirement?
Pays, yeah, it can pay anything from our services through to personnel.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? No? All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Support.
Jessica?
I'll support it.
Did you say?
I guess I.
She made the
so moved.
motion.
Motion,
Yes.
I'll support.
Yeah.
I will move
Jack,
to
I'm sorry, I didn't.
make that motion.
I'll
Okay.
support it.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Shannon Robelli, special education teacher at Deke Elementary as presented. Can you do roll call, please, Sue?
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes, and welcome.
The second person I'd like to introduce is Tiffany Shibley. She joins Creek as an elementary social worker. She's entering this role as one of our own retires, so this will be a replacement. Tiffany has had extensive experience in case management while also providing individual supports to students with diverse needs. Again, I'm super excited to introduce this candidate to you. She's going to be an amazing addition to this department as well, but especially to our district. And she kind of has some family here as well, so here's
you.
Tiffany.
Thank you. Hello. I am actually a Swartz Creek grad of the class of 2007 and my hometown, and I have 2 children. One will be starting kindergarten at Swartz Creek next year, and my son will be going into 1st grade. 4th generation Swartz Creek students, and I have family in the district, like she said, but back to my hometown, so I'm really excited for this opportunity to be able to service my community that I come from and help support all the students and families from my hometown.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I think I gave it away.
Sorry.
So 2007?
Yes.
You graduated with my daughter,
I did.
Amelia.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you'd like to share?
I just love that you said you want to go back and service where you came from. I love that.
I do
Thank
too.
you. Thank you. It's what brought me back to apply for this position, so. thank you
Anyone
for
have
that.
questions?
No?
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Support? Well, so moved. I'll throw it
Support.
off.
There you go.
Andrea and Jack?
Yep.
Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Tiffany Shibley, school social worker at Deke Elementary School as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Welcome.
Thank you.
I guess you're working at Siren.
Good luck.
Tiffany. What was your maiden name? Okay, all right, okay, so I'll tell you. Yeah, I knew you looked familiar. Okay.
All right, if we could have Mrs. Wildy up next. We'll go back to back.
Good evening. I am very happy to present to you Jennifer, say your last name.
Sprague.
Sprague. That's what I thought, just making sure I don't mispronounce it in the board meeting. Jennifer Sprague has many years of experience in first grade and comes to us with a science of reading background. She's done letters training and has learned that building relationships with kids are just so important, and just has a wealth of experience. She's done a lot of looking at data with her team, so I'm really excited for her to be able to collaborate with our fabulous first grade team at Cyrene. So, I ask that you employ Jennifer as a first grade teacher with us at Cyrene Elementary.
Yes, my name is Jennifer. I have been a teacher for 16 years. The last 9 has been in first grade. Just as passionate about teaching 16 years later as when I first started. As I was looking into coming to Swartz Creek, I was just impressed with how it just gave me the impression that kids came first. And that impression, I think, has been validated tonight by listening to the presentations and the importance of relationships with the children, and that's my passion. That's what I firmly believe. So I'm very excited to be part of this community and this team.
Thank you very much, and thank you for choosing Swartz Creek.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions? No? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack? I'll support. Andrea? Any comments or questions? Hearing none, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Jennifer Sprague, first grade teacher at Cyrene Elementary as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Welcome.
Good luck, Jack. Okay, good.
And finally, we will have Mr. Suhanik come up and represent Elms Road Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce you tonight to Ms. Karsten Huber. Karsten comes to us brand new, straight out of college. She's a recent graduate of Saginaw Valley State University, where she majored in elementary education with a specialty in upper L, 3rd through 6th grade. But what I like about Karsten is she did exceptional at the interview, but we also got to know Karsten a little bit because she did her student teaching with us at Elms Road with Mandy Rendon Then she moved on to the middle school where she did student teaching with Joanne Sandlin. And then she did so well, we snapped her up as a premier sub. And I like to say she leads the league in crying because all the kids cried when she left. And then when she came back to us as a premier, they cried because they were so happy. So this is Miss Carson Huber.
I feel like, okay, you can see me. I was afraid I was going to be too short, so then I was going to stand to the side, so. So I went to school in Flushing schools all of my life, and then once I graduated and went to school, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher because I had a teacher in 3rd grade actually who was just super inspiring and just I think helped me a lot more ways than she probably knows. And I'm still in touch with her today, which is super awesome for her to even know, like, oh my gosh, like you're one of the reasons that like I'm a teacher. And I just want to be that for students, what she was to me. So that's super important to me. And then obviously being able to be a premier sub, I've had a lot of experience in many different ages of classrooms. And even being here, there's familiar faces, which is awesome. And everyone is just like so willing to help me being a new teacher, which just feels really good and makes me feel like a part of the community already. And that's also one of the reasons I chose Creek is because of the sense of community that I've felt since being here. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for choosing Swartz Creek. We're so happy you're here. Any questions for Carson? No? No? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, Chuck and Jessica, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Carson Huber, 4th grade teacher at, is it 4th grade? It is 4th grade?
Yes.
4th grade teacher at Elms Road Elementary as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Welcome.
Congratulations.
All right, next, we have approval of an overnight field trip.
So every year, the middle school does an amazing field trip to Washington DC, and Amy is here, so why don't you come on up, Amy, and give us a few tidbits about next year's trip.
All right, well, for those of you that don't know me or haven't seen my face in a while, I'm Amy Hart, and I've been on the trip approximately, 7 times, if you count 2001, but that does age me. So, yeah, we're planning a similar trip this year as in the past. They do have 2 different itineraries. We're just kind of looking at same price. One of the differences now since COVID is that we do have trip insurance. You used to be able to opt in, now you have to opt out. So just some things like that. I don't know if you want any more details or anything like that. I'm just here for questions.
And are we using the same President's Day weekend, or?
Yes, we're going at the same time. I don't know, sometimes people ask why we go that weekend. And my own personal son goes to Goodrich and they go in May. We get to do almost twice as much as they do because of when we go. It's not like the busy season, stuff like that.
I have a question. So this year's trip, we removed the Holocaust Museum, right? And put in the
Correct.
African American Heritage
Yes.
Museum. Do you know how that went?
It went.
And is the plan to try to do that again?
This year, we actually were late due to some traffic, so we did not get to go to the African American Museum, and we would have missed the Holocaust Museum as well. Just something we couldn't have predicted. So we were able to go to the African American Museum. We thought it was a ticket-only thing, and it usually is, but they happen to have availability, again, since we're there at not a busy time. So we were able to offer that to some kids when we were doing the other Smithsonian museums. I know that one of the reasons they took out, I don't know if that's why you're asking, the Holocaust, is just because it's not something that's taught, and we just thought African American history was a little more important because it is taught in the 8th grade.
Okay, I just was curious if that was the plan again, was hopefully, and I know you said there's different itineraries you guys are looking at. I just
Yeah,
didn't know with it being the first year, how the feedback
Yeah.
was.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, I think they're looking at maybe instead of going overnight, making it a 3-night trip in a hotel, which would take a little bit longer. I personally don't know even why they were looking at that. I think they were just trying to give different options and see what was working better.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right.
All right.
Thank you, Amy, for that
Yes.
presentation. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Chuck and Holly, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the middle school Washington DC field trip with a proposed date of February 12th, 2025 through February 16th, 2025 as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Jessica Lenay.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes, and I hope they have a wonderful time. And I know, not this year, but I think last year, we had a presentation by some of the students, just some pictures and maybe an overview. If that's possible to do that again afterwards, we really enjoyed it. I think the board really enjoyed, seeing what they saw through their eyes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
even, sorry, we do have like a Facebook page too, if you'd like to go on that, but sure, we'll definitely
Yeah,
come back and do
yeah.
that.
You don't have to stew about it now, but it was very interesting, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, we have the approval of the GISD 24-25 budget review. Jessica, I think you were our representative, correct?
I was there.
Okay.
And I did vote to support it, and I don't know if it's worth noting or not, but the week prior to the Superintendent's Association, all the superintendents in the county approved it as well when it was presented.
Okay.
So
You said you voted
It had
to-
unanimous support from the County School Board Association.
Okay.
If I may add one little comment, I did ask, because they have some funding, and we have talked about it in our finance and operations meeting, that they are making an effort to hire more special ed bus drivers. There was an increase I noticed in the budget and asked about it in their transportation. So they're, I believe they said adding a route in Swartz Creek as well. So hopefully that will positively impact our bottom line if we don't have to pay so much for third-party transportation. I've got my fingers crossed for that.
Thank you.
At the GASBO meeting yesterday, they said there was going to be no changes for next year related to the tier 3 that they did cut, but they are conducting an in-depth transportation study to look into change further.
Thank you, and thanks for that. I was going to ask you if there was anything notable, but you jumped ahead, so good. Any questions for Jessica on that? Thank you for representing us again. Appreciate that. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jessica and Jack, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the GISD 2024-2025 budget review as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Jessica Lenay.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on, we have the approval of the 23-24 final food service budget. Rod?
So as Chuck pointed out, Jamie touched on this a little bit yesterday at Finance and Operations, and so you can kind of see in order an approval for the final budget, for the preliminary budget for next year, which has to happen so that we can approve our new Chartwell's contract, which again, Chuck pointed out is about a 3% increase. And Jamie is here if we have any questions.
Any questions for Jamie? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack?
Support.
Jessica? Comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the 2023-24 final food service budget as presented. I'd already read that. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jessica Lenee.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the 24-25 preliminary food service budget. Same thing. And then I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I
Go
got a
ahead.
question. What's it, why are we voting on it again? Can you answer that?
First one was the final budget for this year.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And then this is the preliminary.
This is a
And that's the
preliminary.
3% increase that we're talking about.
This one is the one that has 3% increase
Okay.
for the administrative and management fees from Charter.
And I'm going to back up just a little bit. Were we over budget or under budget for this year, the final budget?
We adjusted the budget and we're still in the black.
Okay, thank you.
And in the executive summary, I showed just kind of the highlights of those changes. A lot of it had to do with grants that came about, changes with the grant estimates, and the spend down plan.
Okay.
This will show you that we are out of the spend down completely at the end of this year, and next year, we're holding pat at 18% and no excess fund balance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I didn't get a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack?
Support.
Is that Chuck?
Yes.
All right, comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the 24-25 preliminary food service budget as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Jessica Lenee.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, 7 yeses, motion passes. Next, we have the approval of the Chartwell's 24-25 food service contract. Any questions on that? Anyone, or do you want to share anything? I know it's pretty self-explanatory. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Andrea and Jack, comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the food service contract for the 24-25 school year with Chartwell's Educational Services LLC as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Jessica Lenee.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. All right, moving on, we have the approval of Ecker Agreement Letter.
So in the memo, I explained a little bit about why we're doing this. Obviously, there is no financial limit that we have to do this, but Phil from Troon has recommended it so that we have a public record of it. As you know, we were in mediation with Eckert. That mediation failed. We did at one point agree to the mediation's suggestion of compromise, and Eckert has refused that mediation compromise. So in the beginning, this project that was fixed by Miller Boat at $141,000 is in disagreement and dispute. And we were holding on to parts of the rest of other contracts, which originally, if you call, was in the 40-ish thousand. Through RC and Jamie's help, we've been able to do multiple deducts, which Eckert has agreed to. And the reason Phil would like us to publicly vote on this, because it caps it at what we owe at $23,473 and 80 cents. And this then solidifies all the deducts that have been agreed to. It does not take care of the dispute. Obviously, that's still up in the air and will probably move to litigation. But it does take the original 40-some we were dealing with and narrow it down to 23. If we don't do this, obviously, when we go to the dispute, that number now can range back up into the 180s or even higher. So strongly recommended from Troon, just to publicly approve what we already owe, which is the 23,473, so that we can solidify not having any more disputed money beyond the 141 or 142.
Any questions for Rod before I entertain a motion?
So we're still moving forward then, since meeting against the 142, 143.
Well, we're not moving
Right,
forward.
but the attorney.
We assume they will move forward with litigation, yes.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Chuck, and I'm going to take Jessica.
You can take Jack.
I'll take Jack. Okay, you're so generous, Jessica. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the payment of $23,473.80 to Ecker Mechanical Contractors as owed, as recommended by Philip G. Clark from Troon Law Firm. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fick. Yes. Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, motion passes. All right, next, we have the approval of A.E. Gazal Architectural Contract Approval, Mary Crapo Park, Phase 1.
This is very exciting news. As you know, this has been a common topic at Building and Site, or I still call it Building and Site, at Finance and Operations. And a lot of people have put a lot of work into this. After we took the building down, there were many ideas on how to move forward. This is that first stage of getting some parking lots in there, getting some pickleball courts, and getting some of the drainage taken care of, getting that front facade with the entrance and the brick and the signage and the concession stand with electrical. So very exciting stuff, and we have all sorts of people who've been involved over the last year here. We got RC's here, and Jamie's here, and Jim has been the point person on the project, and Chuck has been heavily involved all the way along. So if any one of those 4 people have anything to add, or if you have any questions, we got lots of experts in the room.
Any questions for any of those folks? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack? Support?
Who are we voting on? Just the Gazelle part? of it?
Gazelle is the first one,
Yeah, we'll
sorry.
take them all separate.
Yep,
Okay,
Gazelle.
that's what I wanted to make sure. Support.
Okay, Chuck? Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the AIA B133 Architect Agreement, Mary Crapo Park, Phase 1 with Gazal, Lewis and Associates Architects, Inc., contingent on legal approval in the amount of $128,000 for architect and construction supervision services to be funded from the Public Improvement Capital Projects Fund as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
So this next vote would be on the CM contract, and that would be Lurvy Construction.
Any questions for Rod before I entertain a motion for approval? All right. Need a motion for approval?
So moved.
Jack?
Support.
Is that Andrea?
Yeah.
Andrea? All right. Comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the AIA A133 Construction Manager Agreement, Mary Crapo Park Phase 1 with Lurvy Construction LLC, contingent on legal approval in the amount of $83,185 for CM fee plus reimbursables in the amount of $45,683 to be funded from the Public Improvement Capital Projects Fund as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jessica Lene.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
And this final one is the actual bid approvals, and those are laid out there. And because of the way we set this up with Lurvy as the construction manager, once we approve them, those bids are then handed over to Lurvy Construction.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack?
Support.
Andrea?
Discussion.
Sure, go ahead.
We're doing all these vendors as one, or are we going to do them separate? Total awards not to exceed 1.267,560. So we're going to do one motion for all the vendors. Is that the way they wanted it, or is that the way we're doing it?
That's the way I put it together, because in essence, they all go over to Dave Lurvy. It's the final price that we're managing on our books. But, I think Sue did list out each.
Yeah, I see that. That's why I'm asking. And I had some concerns with one of the vendors without mentioning names, because that would tend to influence my vote. So, that's my only concern, just one of the vendors.
We can do them as presented, as Jamie said, because of the way we did the construction manager contract. These all go to Dave.
Right.
But if you want to pull them out, there's no issue doing them separately.
I know, right? I don't want to belate the issue with it. There's just one company that's changed its name several times because of issues they've had. And although they've been vetted, it's just my concern. It's just personal knowledge I have, and it's not anything great, or I'm concerned. And it's one of the smaller bidders, but at the end of the day, Mr. Lurvy and you, Jamie, if you don't mind me, Madam President, asking her a direct question.
Go ahead.
You guys interviewed these in a post-bid, pre-bid type system and asked if they could complete the job, and the equipment was equivalent to some of the other bids. Do you know that answer or no?
Yes, that criteria is specifically part of the interview process and vetting process, was their ability to complete the job, be on timeline, and the alignment of the scope specs be met in their bid proposal.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question. The last line in the first page, the paragraph, it says, "All parties will meet throughout the project to ensure legal and scope compliance and timely completion of this project." I would like to know, are we going to do something like we did for the bond steering committee, as this is such a large project, where there will, or will this be discussed? Is that implying with board members like we did for the bond steering committee, or does that say when it's referring to all parties?
I wrote that sentence, and that sentence was referring to Lurvy and John Gazelle as working with our existing team. But that was just my frame of reference. And that schedule has not yet been set.
Okay.
So we can bring them to operations, or we can have side meetings. So anytime you're doing a project, you have a three-pronged solution. You have the architect, you have the construction manager, and you have the district. So however we want to organize that.
We will most likely need to meet on a weekly basis in some form with those three parties during the actual project.
Okay.
But I can see easily an update being on the agenda for
Every finance and operations?
absolutely.
Okay. And we can discuss further whether or not any of representatives attend or whatever. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? All right, I have a motion. I have Jack and Andrea. I don't think I've read this yet, so. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the following recommended contractors and awards. Gross Construction, $748,500. Nationwide Construction, $84,015. Perez Construction, $300,000. Extreme Mason Contractors, $95,800. D. Kramer, Inc., $6,875, and Johnson and Wood LLC, $32,370 for the Mary Crapo Park Phase 1 project, with a total cost not to exceed $1,267,560 to be funded from the Public Improvement Capital Projects Fund as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey. Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. And before we move on, I want to thank all the folks that have been involved. And this has been quite a process. And I do want to thank Chuck, because this was your vision that we will now begin to see unfold. And I drove by there today and I thought, oh, what's that going to
Don't
look
put
like?
that pressure on me.
Oh, but I am.
I appreciate the board's support, Rod's work, Jim's work, Jamie's work, RC's work. I know that we're all anticipating something that's very large, and I hope it meets everybody's expectations. But I'm a stickler on budgets, and I just stickler to that, so that's all. Thank you. As long as we can have some more input in it, and hopefully the team will guide it through to its complete vision of what the board has decided it will be, and hopefully it's a great addition to the city of Swartz Creek.
I think it will be a showpiece. Yes, it'll be beautiful. All right. Moving on, we have an opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to address the board, please step forward to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anybody? Everybody in the audience has spoken, I think. All right, we will move on. Comments and questions from the board.
I have a quick one, if that's all right, Carrie. I'm noticing now that the run was canceled, but there was intended to be it was called the Run for Randall. It's one of our students who's fallen on some hard times with his physical health and his health in general. The run was canceled, unfortunately, but the Gaines PTO is still collecting money for the student to help with medical expenses and such. And it breaks my heart what's happening with this guy. And I would hope that we could hopefully spread the word, and they're collecting donations through the 18th, so 3 more days, so this Saturday. And once again, that's through the Gaines PTO. I believe Patty Hagler is the main person you can reach out to for that. Please do reach out. Please help, and please support this student. They're going through a lot right now.
Can you tell us what's it?
I don't want to share. That's their
Okay.
business.
No, that's fine.
What's that? What was your question?
I didn't know what the specifics were. I'm not on Facebook or any of those social media, so I haven't heard about it. So.
I mean, it is out there. He's a junior, if I'm not mistaken. He's in my son's class. He has brain cancer. It's out there on Facebook. They've done.
Okay.
They've done
I wasn't sure if it was out, and I don't want to be the one to be.
They did a GoFundMe, and Sue actually gave everybody the address a while back.
Okay.
I can give that to anybody that needs it. You can just call the
Thank you.
admin building too.
Perfect.
I'm not going to belate it. I didn't know
Yeah.
what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder, Jack. Anyone else?
I have just 2 quick things. One is that I'm having a hard time seeing the TV there and crooking my neck over here. And then when I do crook my neck over here, there's a glare. Although she's not bald, I'm the bald one. I can't see what's up there. And so I'm asking Travis if he could maybe put a screen up here for a couple of us, or if we use our laptops, because I'm having a hard time, because I want to really pay attention to the presentations. I keep looking back and forth, and or maybe if we could get like a smaller with a side mount on each side here, Travis, if it's not a lot of money, so maybe the board members can see it. I don't know if you guys are all having it. I have a little bit of impairment with my vision up close and far, especially far away, and that can't be corrected. So I'm really not being able to see these things with no document to follow it. I'm having a hard time. And it's been that way for a year and a half, and I haven't said anything, but I'm saying it now, I want that if we can get it done.
I do that as well too. I can see
Yeah,
buying up clothes, but maybe
Yeah, and then
Chromebooks? Could we
I'm
have
trying to look back
Chromebooks
here and I'm not,
to live stream?
So Travis, I won't put you on the spot, but
what would be the
you
easiest,
think-
Travis? Maybe put a
just
small
think
TV
of-
here?
Yeah.
I mean, like something up here so the board can see it. Like with on an arm and just put it out when you do the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you could just do something here for us. And my second comment is that on the new teachers we added, it was nice enough that she gave us the numbers, but could I get that in writing, what we have for, what the federal guidelines are and what we have per classroom for our special ed teachers, please? So I have a breakdown and the board can understand it with teachers, ratio to students, and what's required by law, and making sure we're meeting that. I'm not against adding new teachers, especially to stay in compliance with all federal, state guidelines, and to make it better for our students to learn. So I just need to see those numbers. Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks. Go ahead, Jessica.
Well, I was reminded earlier today by something on a fluke a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't have admitted that. It's Teacher Appreciation Month. So thank you to all the teachers in our district for being awesome and caring and concerning, and welcome to our new teachers in the district. But this district, our teachers do a phenomenal job, and I just want to say thank you. I hope you have somebody that cares about you greatly to give you a hug from me and a high five. So I just want to say that. And then I wanted to say that on tomorrow, Thursday, I'm going to give a public excuse. No, it's not an excuse. It's a reason why I may not be at the VLC or at the County School Board Association presentation, and that is because the Swartz Creek girls tennis team that is 13-1 is going to regionals in East Lansing, and I will be there, so I have no idea what time I'll be back, so I'm sorry I won't be representing the district at our functions here locally, but I'll be a proud parent and a proud board member down in East Lansing tomorrow.
And that's quite all
Dragons.
right to tell us that you're going to be a proud mama tomorrow. Thanks, Jessica. Anybody else? I just want to thank our presenters tonight, RC, as always. And like I said, that was gold. It is amazing. I love that we have that much detail and that you're tracking it so closely. And you didn't mention it, but I know you had to go back and find a lot of the paperwork to go with those warranties that had not been collected previously. It was there, but you had to find it. So thanks for doing that. And for our presenters on trauma-informed care, that was wonderful. Rod's in trouble, I think, when he goes home tonight because his wife Ashley was one of the presenters. So anything else? Thanks to our administrators. I do want to thank Reese and Sue. Thank you always. Travis, thank you so much. I want to thank Reese. We didn't do that earlier. Reese Warham, who's not here this evening, but our student board representative. She's a senior, and we're very excited for her. She's been a great addition to this board. I'm very excited for her and her future. And I think she said she wanted to be an attorney. So that's exciting. Yeah, that's a card. So we wish her well as all the seniors as they graduate tomorrow evening and then into next week. And I look forward to celebrating them safely. We always look for safety. So I guess that's all I have to say. Thanks to everybody on the board for all your work. As everybody can see, there's just a lot going on, a lot of good things. And thanks to all of our new teachers. We are so excited you're here. Thank you. So yeah, thanks for choosing us. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Jack? Chuck? Any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.